The other day, my son Abel asked me, "Dad, what is our purpose? Why are we here?" And after thinking about it for a moment, I said, well, two things come to mind. One, to love our neighbor as ourselves, and the other is to be a steward of God's creation. I'm Scottie B. I'm standing in front of Alive Wesleyan Central Campus, and I'd like to share a little bit about my testimony. It started off when I was young, 10, 11 years old. I was kind of a blind believer, going to church with some really strict Christians. And after spending some time with these folks, I felt really uncomfortable. I did not feel the love. I felt judged and condemned. And I decided, if this is what God is, I don't want to have any part of it. Then after going through high school and college as an atheist, which is really bad time to be an atheist, I started reading some books that led me to something greater than myself. I started to realize there is something out there. I don't know what it is, but there's something bigger than me. And I used to go get my hair cut by a man named Joe Tankersley. And during that time in my life, I was learning that God is love. And I would go have conversations with Joe, who was very Southern Baptist. And Joe would say, God this and that. And I would translate it to my language and say, well, so love is this and that. And he would say, yeah. And I would say, okay, great. So Joe and I became good friends, and we started to communicate through love about God. And I started to translate and kind of understand the language. Years later then, I was hired by one of my friends to come and do some construction at this church when this was being built. And during that time, I was learning about permaculture. I was learning about stewarding the land. I was learning about homesteading. I was learning the importance of how we treat our land and how we develop our communities. What's funny is my friend hired me, said, I need some work done at a church. And I said, well, I'll give you a discount, because it's a church. I didn't say that really. I was thinking that. And then as I pulled up to this land, I realized this is my friend Joe Tankersley's land, or it was. And it used to be a cattle pasture. And now it's a massive church with a lot of hard surface runoff and parking lots. And I was mad. And I said, first thought came to mind when I pulled up here, I said, no discount. But they invited all of the builders to come to church during one of the first services, and I really liked, I thought Pastor Tom was funny, so I came. And God put something on my heart, and that was to create a small group at this church to help bring earth stewardship into play, not just for this church, but for all churches, as a model for what churches can do to be a contribution to our community. Because when we do the food drive a couple times, once or twice a year, I'm going to be honest, it is nothing but junk food. Maybe I shouldn't say nothing, but I'll tell you, it's a lot of junk food, a lot of things that are unhealthy. So what would it be like if our food drive was coming from food that was produced on site? So I started a small group 12 years ago or so, and it's called Back to Eden. And we had a handful of people, we did some permaculture, and we introduced the idea of doing a permaculture design on site here, to produce food on site. And it was kind of shot down by some of the elders, and I say shot down, but it was, they said specifically, we don't want to block the view of our church with trees. Now, if I step over here just a little bit, you'll see that there's a tree that's blocking the view of this sign. No, I just had to point that out. So I gave up at that point. And I thought, you know what, this is the problem. As we're missing out, we're missing the point, we're missing the mark. We're bringing people closer to God through the building is phenomenal. It's a must, it's necessary. But we can also bring people closer to God through the garden. And I think that's a big disconnect in our society, as we have people who love the earth, love science, love the garden. And then almost on a different spectrum, we have people who love God. And we need to bring those two people together. And I think one of the best ways we can do that is by bringing them closer to God through the garden, and also showing how God created the garden, and bringing people closer to the garden through God. So 12 years later, after going through a divorce and experiencing hell, I came back to the church and started spending more time, and I got baptized at the church. And when the day I got baptized, Paul came up and said to me, "Hey, we're doing a fruit orchard now, and we'd like to, and maybe you want to be involved." So I restarted the small group. It's called Back to Eden, Homesteading with God's Creation. It's live here at Alive Central Campus, and we're meeting and we're doing some permaculture training and bringing people closer to the garden through an understanding of nature mimicry design, of God's mimicry, redesigning the way we do life, the way we build homes, the way we landscape, so that we can all live in harmony with the planet and really thrive in harmony with the planet. So I'd like to invite you, if you go to Alive Wesleyan, to join our small group, to learn about homesteading, to learn about regenerative landscaping, regenerative agriculture, to learn how we can be better stewards of the earth so that we can be better stewards of our community, so we can provide education, provide healthy food and medicine to our community. Because all of this green space here, well, it's kind of brown now because we're still in winter, but all of this can be productive. All of this could grow, even if it's not big trees to block the building. We can grow small trees and bushes and shrubs and ground covers and things that produce. Because, see, money does grow on trees, contrary to what you've been taught. Money grows on trees. Food, fuel, fiber, all things that we need, that we spend money on, they can all be grown. And we can do that here on site. What would it be like to be part of a church that starts a movement for the entire Christian religion to bring people closer to God through gardening? See, that is our opportunity. And it's not just for us, but for future generations, so that your children and your grandchildren can have a sense of security, knowing that no matter what happens, they are going to be okay. Because we know that when we're present with God, all things are good in our spirit. Also, when we're present with God's creation through earth stewardship, all things are good in our bodies. We're healthy, we're optimized, and thus becomes easier to be healthy spiritually and mentally as well. So I'd like to invite you to join our small group, Back to Eden, if you go to Alive. And if you don't go to Alive, come join us. Open-minded, awesome people, good message, a lot of good things here at Alive. And there are multiple campuses. If you're not in the central area, you can join from another area. And let's plant seeds for future generations together. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. I'm Scottie B, Treehouse Trade School. Hope you all have a blessed day. Peace out.